Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Transport Evolved live stream. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield.
I'm Kate Walton-Elliott.
And it is good to have you here today. This was a planned live stream that we have been talking about doing for a while, but it's not a live stream that we had planned to do today. The video that was all due to go to you yesterday, if you were a Patreon supporter or a YouTube channel member, has got delayed a little bit for reasons that I won't go into, but it is coming very soon. And so we were down a video for today, and we wanted to make sure that you all got one. And this topic has something that a lot of you have been asking us about for some time. But before we get into it, Kate, did you have a good weekend?
I did. Well, as I said, I had a good second half of my weekend, but the first half was a little sketch.
Yeah, Kate works as an emergency room nurse some of the time, and some of the time for us here at the channel. And I think it's fair for me to say, without letting anything bad, pass my lips, to say that people can probably figure out which part of your weekend was the bad bit and which part was the good bit.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I mean, it was, let's just say it was startlingly busy very quickly, as happens in emergency rooms.
Yep. So make sure that you support your registered nurses, your doctors, your healthcare services, especially if you're in the UK right now. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Okay, I have to ask, because I know someone will ask. You didn't watch the coronation, did you?
No. Well, I mean, I was at work, so very sadly, I couldn't.
Yeah, weep. I wish I had a more useful excuse for not watching the coronation, but I'm half American, half Canadian, and half British. I know that makes me one and a half, but that's probably about right as far as I'm aware of. Anyway, and Michael is sitting over there in the corner at his edit suite, laughing.
Well, anyway, it's fine. I can let you know the ending. The king got his nice new hat.
He did, at the same amount of cost of money as some of the other things that are being cut from the British budget.
That's a weird coincidence.
It's all right. Someone was like, where can we take this money from and put it there? Anyway, that is not what we're going to talk about today. We're talking about the whole purpose of this live stream is to talk about sponsorships, advertorials, and sponsored reviews, because it's something that comes up again and again and again when we are doing videos, when we're doing live streams, when people are talking with us about various ways that we as a channel can raise money. But before we do, if you want to follow the show over on Mastodon, you can do so by heading to mastodon.com/@show. That is our Mastodon server, and you just put that Mastodon address in your favorite Mastodon client, and you can follow us there.
And you'll get like little sneak background peeks at cars that are coming up, because quite often we'll just post a picture of what we're up to.
Yep.
When we're reviewing, so you'll know what's coming.
And Michael is a very prolific poster on Mastodon. He's got his headphones on now, so I can say whatever I want, but he's a very prolific poster, and he is evil smile. He's regularly posting behind the scenes stuff. He regularly does it when he has a car out to play for a couple of days. Michael and I are off for a road trip next week, so I'm sure there's going to be some behind the scenes stuff there that joins us. The other thing that obviously would be lovely if you would all consider doing is supporting us on Patreon. You can do that by going to patreon.com/Transport Evolved. Although it doesn't say, it says before March 1st. I think.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a while.
Yeah. As we go. Anyway, so making YouTube content's kind of difficult, isn't it, Kate?
It can be quite challenging. Yeah. It's not the friendliest platform these days.
It's not. And for those who have been asking why we have brought back comments, it's not that we've suddenly seen sense or anything else. It's just that we have had some pretty obvious evidence that YouTube has been punishing us for not having comments enabled on our videos. They've not been promoted. We've heard from multiple people who are subscribed to us on YouTube who are saying, well, you haven't made any content for the last 2 months. And the reality is that as soon as we turned on the comment or turned off the comments, a lot of our videos just weren't getting shared. There wasn't the engagement and the algorithm. And there's a completely separate video that is that we could make talking about how the algorithm works. But there are other channels who've done better than us in that regard. So there's going to be plenty of videos that you can find on YouTube. The long and the short of it is the algorithm is artificial intelligence. It rewards engagement. And if there is no engagement, even if that engagement is, I think that you are a poopy head, and the other engagement is something to do with elderberries. It's that, as far as the algorithm is concerned, is good engagement, and so it will promote those videos. So that is unfortunately why the comments are back on. I do want to say it's lovely to hear from all of the amazing people who have told us how glad they are to see us with comments on again, and have been effectively citizen watching the comments section. So Kate and I and the rest of the team haven't had to. That seems to be working rather well, Kate.
Yeah, I haven't seen too much unpleasantness, shall we say.
There have been some, but they've been dealt with quite swiftly by members of the community who've just reported that person so that somebody else went and did and reported them. Anyway, making content on YouTube is difficult, and most YouTubers out there fall back on multiple different methods of earning money. First of all, there is the direct membership fees. If someone joins YouTube Premium or they become a channel member, that money goes proportionally in the case of the YouTube Premium membership. But if you are a channel member, money that you donate or you pay YouTube to support a particular channel goes to that YouTube channel. Of course, Google takes quite a large chunk. I can't remember how much that chunk is these days. Can you, Kate?
Not off the top of my head.
And so the money obviously comes directly to the creator after everybody else has had their share. The other way is, of course, to have ads playing during your content that YouTube places in the stream. Those are things like, for this channel, car ads, or ads trying to sell you solar panels, or whatever else. Someone said the other day that they got a gun advert on our channel.
Yeah,
which
notionally, whatever topic you cover, YouTube will try and find. It looks at the demographics of who's watching, and it's like, they'll be interested in this. We will show them this advert. And we actually have very little, basically no control over what adverts get shown on the channel. If I recall, sometimes we can say specifically this ad, we don't want this topic or this ad.
Yeah.
But usually that requires, because everyone sees ads that are based on their own viewing history.
Relevant to them, yeah.
Yeah, so we may never see the same adverts that you see. I typically see a lot of adverts for Nissan Arias at the moment.
Yeah, I see a lot of Nissan Aria ads, and I see a lot of ads for other cars. The other thing that I see a lot of is woodworking ads.
Weirdly,
because
I get a lot of survivalist stuff.
I get a lot of survivalist stuff, a lot of woodworking ads. My wife does woodworking as a hobby, and so Google's algorithm has figured out that any YouTube content that comes to our house, if you throw in a woodworking ad in there, then that's good. Sometimes they do get it wrong. I get a lot of survivalist, a lot of people trying to sell me military rations, which is ridiculous.
Yes, military rations. Yeah.
Nobody's ever told me. I've never said, "Oh, I'm gonna go and buy some military rations, MREs." But c'est la vie, right? So those are the adverts that come in, and adverts. The amount of money that you get from those kind of in-stream adverts depends on how much the company has bid Google to have those adverts placed, and companies get to pick. They get to say, hey, I'm going to spend this much money on each ad. If it's a political ad, very often you'll find that the money attached to that goes up. I know that during 2019 election cycle, we were seeing an inordinate amount of high spend adverts, and our ads went up. Our income went through the roof because political campaigns were just trying to flood the internet with adverts. So that's obviously dependent on the content, but it's also dependent on how much each company is willing to spend on advertising. It's also how many people actually watch and interact with the ad, and it's also how YouTube feels it is that day, or Google feels it is. So when we turned comments off, YouTube was starting to punish us by placing fewer ads on our videos because there was no interaction.
And cheaper ads.
And cheaper ads, right. And obviously in an economic downturn, that also happens. For what it's worth, our ad revenue halved over the last couple of months. Year on year, our ad income this month, or the last month, was about 1/2 of what it was last year, which is why we're so very grateful for all of you for supporting the channel by going to patreon.com/Transport Evolved, because it really does help us, and it really makes a big difference to what we're doing. So that's obviously that side of sponsorship. Obviously, then content creators have other ways they can make money outside of YouTube, selling merch, which we do. You can visit our swag store. You can buy Transport Evolved merch. You can't buy the merch that Michael's wearing. But Erin has designed a whole load of cool merch. Michael's wearing some Transport Evolved swag right now, but he's actually wearing the crew hoodie, which is not available to anybody who's not crew. So I can't really show you that. But you can get Transport Evolved swag. You can support us there. Bumper stickers. We've got some wicked ideas for some bumper stickers coming up. I don't know why. Stanislav says, I am getting a Verbo ad, Nick, cut quickly, that I don't even know what they offer. I'm sorry. I get Truth Social ads when watching progressive political shows. Wow.
Lucky you.
And apparently Nancy says the algorithm wants everyone to buy MREs. Maybe it's that the algorithm knows that something bad is coming.
Yeah. This is the AI future. It knows what's coming.
It knows what's coming. That's particularly bad. Apparently the Facebook stream is stalling. I do apologize. As long as it's coming through on YouTube, I don't know why. Our streaming software goes from here to their server and then distributes it. So I don't know why it would not be working for Facebook, but it's working for YouTube. Let's blame Facebook because we're talking about advertising, and Facebook doesn't want you to know the secrets. So there we go. $12 for YouTube Premium is the best. $12 I spend, no ads. Yeah, I personally have YouTube Premium. The Transport Evolved business does not spend money on YouTube Premium. So if you watch with any of your work accounts, you do have to watch the ads. But if you watch separate, then you're good. All right. So obviously you've got merch, you've got appearances and things like that. And then you've got Patreon, which we will come to later. We're actually following a particular order here. But so if we just park Patreon for a moment, the next big way that YouTubers make money is sponsorship, paid sponsorship, as opposed to ads that just play on top of your videos that are chosen by YouTube. And as several of you have commented, if you have YouTube Premium, you can watch YouTube videos with no ads placed into them, but you still have to watch what we call the in-stream ads, or the edited in ads, which is what we're talking about now. So the sponsorships, and there are different types of sponsorships. There's we will pay you to go and experience something, or we will pay you to go do something, and then you in making a video about this thing, you effectively become an advert. It becomes an
You
advert.
say how lovely our product, our experience, our whatever is, or how good whatever you did there was.
And in that instance, normally the company is like expecting you to produce a glowing review.
Yes, well, they're probably contractually obliging you to produce a glowing review.
The next one is when they will send you, they reach out and they go, hey, would you like to sell our product on your video? And you actually advertise, you hawk their product on your video. This is this product. I want you to go buy it. If you go to this website and use this special code, you'll get a free cuddly toy, or whatever it happens to be.
And they quite often like to do those in the format of a review. So they want you to believe that you want you as a viewer to believe that you're watching an unbiased review from your favorite presenter, but really what you're watching is a 20-minute long infotainment session.
Right. And what I can tell you, well, okay, let me come back to that in a second, because there's some things here about money exchanging hands and context that I think is really important. After that, you get kind of the affiliate link where someone goes, hey, I am advertising this product, and instead of being paid a flat fee by a company to promote this product for a certain amount of time, I'm going to get a cut of whatever it is that you are selling. So, and we've done affiliates before. We've also done the other type of advertising where it's a flat fee and we advertise something and then we're done. We generally tend to do commission-based affiliates for a lot of the things we do now. And then after that, there is basically the full-out review, which is, like Kate said, it's something that people are expecting you to do an honest review, but you're actually paid to talk positively about the thing. And then at the end of that, how you can often tell whether those reviews are actually reviews or whether they are paid is you'll see a creator make a review of a product and then say, and we've teamed up with this very same company to offer you $20 off or $100 off. And then that's the kind of a video that happens. Now, there's a difference between a sponsorship and a paid review. And I'm speaking very generally here. But we have been approached a lot in the last year and a half by companies, specifically micromobility companies, often based in China, going, hey, we want you to review our product. We'll send you a unit for free. You get to keep the unit, you get to try it out, and then you have to make a video saying how awesome it is.
Usually here's a link that your people can buy the product through, and you'll get 5-10% of each sale.
Right. And so their goal is to try and use your authenticity and your experience to endorse a product to your audience so that your audience will then go and buy it. There is another type of sponsorship that I didn't really talk about, and that's brand deals. Someone like Mr. Beast, for example, opened up a Mr. Beast burger. It's not actually a Mr. Beast burger. It's a franchising company that licenses his brand and then uses it to put on food. And if you're not familiar with the idea of those kitchens, and I've forgotten the name of it now, where you get like 100 different fast food companies all seemingly under one roof, but it's just like this, they're called ghost kitchens. And these ghost kitchens will make a certain amount of food and package it and sell it for different companies. And it looks like it comes from a different place, but technically it's the same food. There's some great videos on ghost kitchens as well. If you haven't seen that, go and research it, because that's another big thing that's happening now in the YouTube world. So paid reviews make people feel a bit kind of slimy, and very often YouTubers do not disclose properly that they are having a paid review. For what it's worth, in the past, we've never engaged in a paid review, but we have allowed companies to send us a product to review that we've then been allowed to keep to then make a review on. And every time we get to review a product, when we tell a company, they say, okay, well, can you sign this contract? Can you give us, because normally when they send you a product for review, they want editorial control of your final product. So they'll go, we want to see the video before your audience sees it. We want to have the ability to say, please cut this out, or please say this. Sometimes they will send you literally a 7 or 8 page document. These are the things you can talk about. And you have to make it sound like it's a fun kind of, oh, I'm just feeling spontaneous. But actually, these are all the things that you must talk about, or, bad things will happen. Very often, those companies want you to say yes before they send you the product. Once the product,
sign an NDA as part of the...
As an NDA. And then they'll tell you, you have a week. They'll send you the product, and then they'll have you got the product yet? Have you got the product? Have you got the product? Have you unpacked it? Have you tried it out yet? Are you going to make the video? When's the video going to be up? All they want is your smiley face on a video saying, this is what I want. And the challenge is that as YouTube has become more and more easy for people to get into, and YouTube streaming has become more popular, and Twitch and these other platforms even have become more popular, you're seeing a lot more people who are inexperienced in the media world just saying, yeah, okay, you can pay me $2,000 and I'll say something nice about this. And they're very often packaged as reviews, and people consume them thinking that they are honest reviews, but they're not. Now, you can tell the really crappy ones, but it's the mid-range ones where people are a bit desperate for cash and they get into a partnership that makes me go, So for full disclosure, I think we've had 4 micromobility products now, maybe 5, that we've got on review. The company's reached out and said, hey, we'll send you a unit for free. We'll give you an affiliate link. We'll do all these other things, and you can give us a review. And we've turned around and said, we don't do paid reviews. We don't do paid advertorials. If you want to send us a product, we will review it. We will note that you sent it to us free of charge to review. We will publish the review. You will not get any pre-approval. You do not get to see the review until it goes live. And that is the way. This is the way that we do it. And it really...
And we also, I can't say that we've always said this, but for everything that I've had, I've offered to send it back. I've said, if you want to pay shipping, I will put it back in this box. You can have it back.
We've always said that. But most of the time, these companies are shipping stuff, large things, from a long way away, and they go, it's just not worth it. So,
well, and once it's a bike, then you've assembled it. It's
hard to send back. So we had one bike recently that was sent to us on review, and there were issues with it, and they told us, hey, you must say that you're going to review. And I managed to get their contract down to yes, we will review this. That was the agreement. We will review this within so many days. They sent us the product. It was broken. They sent us a replacement. It was broken. And I was like, hey, you can take this back. I'm giving you an out. You can take this back. This product, because they were making noises like, we really don't want you to review this product. And I didn't want to have to deal with the backlash, because some of the kind of undercurrent things said in emails to us made me go, okay, if we say something negative, you're just going to make our life hell. And that was it. We said, we're never doing any reviews like this ever again. So now any product we get, we do never, ever sign anything saying we will review it. We just say, hey, you can trust us and send it to us. We will review it in our own good time, and then you will have all of those. So a lot of companies don't do that, though. A lot of companies do hey, you're gonna pay us to review this, and we will go. Now, the amount of money that changes hands for these reviews. Have I shown you what some people are charging, Kate? Did I tell you?
You told me, and we've also we've had some instances where marketers have reached out with unfortunately non-BCC'd emails, and then people have reply all with their fees, and you look at it, you're like, good grief, you're charging that much?
So a lot of YouTubers will charge, and I think this is important to note, because I think a lot of the criticisms we get from YouTubers, from in the YouTube comments, now they're back on, yay. A lot of, bless you. Thank you. A lot of the things that we get, a lot of the comments we get is, you're rich, you're a YouTuber, you can afford it, or we'll get a real job. If you need more money, get a real job. But the reality is that as a company, we run very leanly, and I would say probably about 80% of the money we get in every month from Patreon goes to paying everybody in the team. So that's Kate, myself, Michael, and Erin. Although paying myself is kind of an optional extra. A lot of the time, and covering things like health insurance benefits, paying for things like the streaming software, paying for computer hard drives and things like that. And we'll come to this in a second, but yeah, we always need more of these. This one is broken, by the way. This is a hard drive that's broken, so I could just whack it around in my head. But the reply alls do give us a great idea. I'm not going to name and shame, but there are multiple people in this sector who think nothing of charging between $4,000 and $10,000 to do a product review. Now, if I tell you that if we were to follow that method, we would have to make, well, if we did 2 of those a month at $10,000 a pop, we would bring in more money than we currently bring in. In fact, we'd bring more in if we did like 1.4 a month or 1.5 a month. So that gives you a good idea of how much money that a lot of these YouTubers are bringing in versus what we are doing, which is we're trying to keep it honest. We're trying to tell you exactly when we do get a covered review or something like that, this is the reality. And we're doing this because we want to have our honesty and our integrity, which I am going to come to in a bit. Let's talk about covered trips, Kate. How do they work?
So typically the trips that we do, companies will either provide lodging, airfare, both. Sometimes they'll provide meals for us to go somewhere. Often it will only be the presenter who they'll pay for. If we actually want to take camera gear and Michael, then that is on our dime, not on theirs.
So we've been lucky. Yeah. So the trip we made down to see StoreDot, when StoreDot invited us, we were like, StoreDot said, we said to StoreDot, hey, you're going to have to pay for our accommodation. And StoreDot said, okay. And StoreDot covered our hotel bill. It didn't cover all of our hotel bill because we were meeting we did other businesses and other things on that trip, but we did get them to cover that part of the trip. Like us driving down, staying in a couple of hotels, that was covered by StoreDot. When we went to the UK, when we just flew to the UK a couple of weeks ago to WAE Technologies in the UK, there are multiple videos from that trip. We've just published one so far. We were due to publish one today. That one has been pushed back for editorial reasons. There are some things we need to fix in the video. And so we're pushing that back, but that trip was covered by WAE Technologies, or rather they covered the flights. They put us up in a hotel for a couple of days while we were there and filming. The second part of the week was on my dime and the Transport Evolved dime. So Michael had the option of flying back to the US immediately after we filmed, but I wanted to go and spend some time with my mum because I haven't seen her for 3 years. So I said to WAE Technologies, hey, can you book my return flight a few days later than we normally would? And they were like, yep, no difference in price. That's fine. I went to see my mum, so I didn't have to pay for a hotel. I paid for the car. that we hired, the Tesla Model Y that we hired for a week, and Transport Evolved paid for Michael to stay in Oxford for the 3 or 4 days that he was there before we flew back together. And that was primarily for a practical point of view because, hey, Michael,
Yes.
how many camera bags did we take to the UK? We took the tripod boxes with the lights in, tripod case, 2 Pelicans, sound bag, and
7 cases.
7
cases.
plus a suitcase for me.
Oh yeah,
And your carry-on. Yes, we had 8 checked bags. We had 8 checked bags before we flew back, and so Michael had said, "Yeah, I can fly back early, but it makes sense if we both fly back together because then we can make use of all of our allocations and things like that." So that's why that trip was covered, and part of the trip was covered by you guys. You helped Michael stay in the UK for a few extra days, so thank you. It's normally car companies though that reach out and say, "Hey, can you come and review this product?"
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember what the last trip I did for a car company. I think that was the Ioniq 5 US launch, and they paid for me to fly down. And I stayed in a hotel. They ferried me to the hotel. I stayed in a hotel for a night, drove the car the next day. They paid for, I think, a second night in the hotel and then flew me back.
Right. So depending on the company, so if it's a startup, it's often different. And sometimes you can tell how much cash a company has got and how confident they are. If it's a car company, so your Nissan, your Toyota, BMW, whoever, right? Big press launch, they will have multiple waves. A wave is literally a group of people who are there for a day or two, and then they have another group of people come in, and then they have another group of people come in. And those press launches are very much a military operation. In terms of coordination, they will have a fleet often of as many as 20 cars that are detailed every night, completely sanitized and cleaned. Their infotainment systems are very often reset so that there's no kind of evidence that anybody else has driven them. They very often have maybe 1,000 miles or less on the clock. They are often pre-production prototypes. In fact, they normally are pre-production prototypes. They have a set route. They have a couple of different options for the route. They'll have a press conference. They'll have opportunities like senior staff or engineers will be on hand to answer questions, and you can interview them if you so want. But for that instance, they'll go, "Hey, come on this day, you get to say which wave you'd like to be on." They then reach out and they have a specialist travel company. The travel company books your flight. They then send you an itinerary saying, "Hey, you have to be at this airport at this time. You're on this flight. When you get to the other end, a car picks you up." Ironically, I don't know if it's the case for UK, but whenever we do a launch, it's invariably a gas guzzler picks you up at the airport.
It's a gas guzzling SUV that they with blacked out windows.
Yeah, the biggest possible SUV. And they will pick you up and then they'll drive you to the hotel. At the hotel, they will kind of send you to your room, and it's very often
they'll wine and dine you a bit because they want you to feel wine and dine you when you get to the car.
So the hotel rooms are very often 4 or 5-star or better. Very often, certainly since COVID, what's becoming really popular is they'll send you somewhere where it's warm. So they'll send you in a wine country, or they'll send you somewhere. I went to Central California for the Aria launch event. They'll put you up in a nice hotel room where it's often a suite, not just a hotel room. It's an actual suite, with a big bathtub and everything is covered. They will then, like Kate says, they will wine and dine you the first night. The next day, they'll provide breakfast. They'll let you off in the car for most of the day. You come back in the evening. Sometimes they'll just send you back home.
Sometimes they'll do a technical or an introductory talk in the morning as well, or the night before, so you have a background into the design and things like that.
Yeah. So they cover all of these events, and that there's the unspoken nascent thing here that if a car company makes the journalists feel good, the journalists are likely to be more positive about the vehicle, right? It's not directly paying a journalist to say nice things. It's covering their accommodation and whatever. Now, we do events like that. So when we are taken out from where we live and we are wined and dined, the only things we have to pay for on trips like that normally are parking at the airport that we leave from, the destination, the departure airport, and also bags, which is one of the reasons why we all have one of these. We have press badges. The reason we have press badges is because you get discount on luggage when you are a member of the press. So we obviously we have to pay for our own luggage, and if we're taking a lot of camera equipment, that is of course extra. Rarely a car company will send you first class. I think it's happened to me once. It happened to me because they mistook me for an influencer rather than a journalist. But normally
they sent me first class, but it was a short hop flight, and it just meant I got on the plane first.
Yeah. And because I'm a pre-boarder, well, I'm a pre-boarder, so I never have to worry. I always get to go on the plane early and go, so I have this thing with me and it makes noises sometimes at 40,000 feet and it's not a bomb. That's normally how the conversation goes. So after they've done that, you get home, you go home, you make your review, and at the end of your review, whether it's written or video, it is considered good form and appropriate journalism and good journalism to say, name of company, provided airfare, meals and lodging, or something to that effect, to enable us to bring you this first person report. We will always do that. And the good thing is, and this is interesting, the good journalists aren't influenced by that and are the ones to listen and watch to. Yep. Others such as blatant influencers. Yeah. So when we do that, we are, very, very like we've been wined and dined. It's a really nice experience, but these are the good points. These are the bad points. And you can always tell if a car company is really serious about what you have to say if they invite you and you've been able to talk both positively and negatively about them. There are some electric vehicle companies out there. Some are startups, some are established leaders that won't invite you to events if you say anything negative about them. I'm not going to name names, but you can guess which car company I'm talking about. If you say anything negative about them, you are off the list. That is not the case for legacy automakers. I think there's been one legacy automaker who got shirty when we said something bad about them, and it took us about 10 years to get back in their good books. But that's the reason why those events exist. And I'm not confirming or denying the name of the company. That would be wrong. So that's where it all goes. Should we go to editorial control now, Kate?
Yeah, I think that's good.
So editorial control is, well, what do we mean by that, Kate?
I mean, that is the ability to say what you want. It's the ability to say something good or bad about a product, mainly bad if you want to say something bad, and that not being a problem. So Nikki mentioned earlier that sometimes as part of the contract, you'll have to sign an NDA, or they will want you to sign a contract that says you can only really say nice things, and anything bad you say, you need to run by us before you say it. And we don't sign contracts like that, but they are very common in the industry.
We do sign NDAs if we are going somewhere where a factory tour is a good example. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get into a factory without signing an NDA. That's just not going to happen. Because Tom, I couldn't possibly comment. There are you don't get in a factory without signing an NDA unless it's a small company and they know you and they trust you. But even the big companies, they want to cover their asses, and so they're like, "Hey, we need you to acknowledge that you're not going to speak about anything you see in the factory that's not directly related to the thing that we are showing you." I.e., I went to a Jaguar Land Rover factory years ago when they just started doing the Range Rover Sport, and it got riveting the factory tour wasn't part of the thing that I was there to film. I was there to do EV stuff, but they gave us a tour of a facility because they were so proud about their new riveted construction. They're like, hey, we'll show you. This is off camera. This is off the record. We want you to see what you think. And like, you know, at that point we had to sign an NDA going, yeah, we're not going to talk about that thing that you're just telling us, which is fair enough, you know, a little bit of give and take. But editorial control, as Kate points out, is our ability to say exactly what we want to say and also the way in which we are saying it. There are a couple of occasions, aren't there, Kate, when we have not given away our editorial control, but allowed a company to go, yeah, we just need to see that to make sure everything is good before we publish it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the WAE video is a good one. The store one, because of where we were filming, they needed not to have any editorial control, but just to make sure that we hadn't shown anything in the background that was not allowed to be shown, that really didn't belong to that company and belonged to some other company.
Right. So if you're going to visit a company like WAE, for example, that works for a lot of different companies, they provide engineering services to a huge number of companies, and there are some really cool things in that building that we weren't allowed to see. Right. I think I'm not breaking an NDA to say I saw a really cool prototype vehicle that I don't know who was making it or anything else. I may actually do know, but I'm not allowed to say what it was. But there was a vehicle there.
Yeah.
It was cool. And we had to make sure that none of our footage included that. There was a Formula E car there, a third generation Formula E car. We were not allowed to put any of that on film because it was naked. Like, they are under contractual obligation to not let anybody film what was in that, and I wasn't allowed to talk about it. It was just, it's there in the corner. They go, yeah, you're not allowed to film that. Great, that's fine. So,
and often that is about, for a lot of the companies that we cover, it's about technology that's still in a research phase that they don't want to share.
And a good example of that is our trip to StoreDot in Southern California. We went there, we arrived, we had a facilities manager coming up and saying, you can't film. These are the things you cannot film because there are companies here that this is a startup incubator. And while StoreDot are based there, there are all these other companies that also are in this building and they are not ready to show anything, so you cannot film. And again,
the video was very simple and plainly shot, is that we chose an area where we could safely film, where we weren't going to have any of those kinds of problems.
Yes, yeah. And in that case, interestingly, it wasn't StoreDot that had to say it was okay to publish. It was the company who owned the facility that we were in, who were like, hey, we want to make sure that none of our logos are on display in this. We need to see this before it's published. And again,
in all these instances, it's an important distinction, is that we maintained our editorial control, where they had no control over what we were going to say. They were just making sure that we weren't showing something on screen that we weren't approved to show.
So editorial control versus IP infringement, if you want to be really fancy about it.
Yeah.
All right, we've already kind of talked about affiliate links and kickbacks and contracts and placement, but
I'm actually just going to pause for a second. So who was it who was asking about embargoes? So Mark, you were asking about embargoes, and they don't control what we say, but they do mean that, say a company wants to invite multiple groups to come and look at a product or look at a technology, but they don't want it announced ahead of time, so that all the groups that have been, all the outlets that come and review it can produce their content to come out on the same day, and everyone gets a fair shake at the audience for that, because the first to release on something is going to be the one that's probably going to get the biggest hit off it.
Right. So we just had a production meeting with a company in California. I was just trying to figure out how much I could say. So Michael and I are on the road next week. We're traveling to California. We're going to be filming in California. And we're filming with a company that we've worked with in the past, but that company's about to announce something big. They've reached out and said, hey, we're going to do this announcement. There's going to be this event. Do you want to come? Blah, blah, blah. And we've sent a whole load of questions as well. Okay, what can we film? Who are we talking to? What's the order of operation? How is this going to work? Those are logistical questions so that we know when the embargo ends, when we can actually publicly talk about the thing that we're doing, when we know who else is going to be there. Sometimes we like to know that. We don't often know. But that is generally how we do something.
And just to be clear, we stick to embargo dates. So there was an incident, I think a couple of years ago now. It's hard. COVID, I don't really remember how long ago things were. And I think it was Ford.
Oh,
and was it Ford?
Well, it's okay. So it happens quite a lot. It was the Mustang Mach-E.
Yeah.
There was a company that was uninvited. There was it was a blog or a vlog, I think, that were uninvited from the Mustang Mach-E reveal event because they broke the embargo.
And then a lot of other companies went ahead and broke the embargo because the information was out there and we didn't.
And we still got to go.
And we still got to go because we stick by the rules and we signed a contract saying this is the embargo. We agreed to it.
Yeah, you do have to sign a piece of paper with embargoes. And when I say sign, normally it's just you reply to an email and go, I agree to the embargo.
Yeah.
And if you don't agree to the embargo, you have lawyers chasing you.
Yeah.
I should point out here that embargoes vary. So you can have information embargoes, i.e. you can't acknowledge this thing even exists until we say you can. That's kind of your blanket, do not talk about this. Then there are pieces of embargoes where they say you can say you're going. You're not allowed to share any videos or photos until after the reveal event. So at that point, you might walk into a big theater where the vehicles are standing there on stage, uncovered, and you get to see them like a whole hour before the official reveal event. And again, you're not allowed to say anything. In the case of the Mustang Mach-E, it was very interesting because Ford reached out and was like, hey, we've got this new electric car. We know that you cover EVs. We know that you're really, really keen on seeing what we've got. We'll fly you to Germany, to our design studio, 2 weeks before the reveal. We'll give you access to the vehicle and our team. You get to look at it and see the vehicle. And then 2 weeks later, we'll fly you to LA and you can come to the official reveal event. We'll see you there. After you've done the reveal event, you're allowed to publish your thoughts from the design studio tour. And that was very interesting because we were filming basically a 2-part video that got merged together and published and pushed out. Those are tough because the amount of time you have to pre-edit everything from the first trip, and then you do your tops and tails on location, and then you have to spend a sleepless night editing it all together. When we did the Nissan Ariya E-Force test drive, that was a complicated one because Nissan originally said there's an embargo on this of this date. It was 2 weeks after the trip, and we were like, yeah, we're about to get back, take our time, edit the video, push it out, jobs are good. 2 days before the trip, we got a message from Nissan going, one of our colleagues somewhere else in the world they have a different embargo. And so now reviews for this car are available in other markets. And we feel it would be unfair to force you to keep the embargo. So everything on this trip is off embargo. You can talk about it the moment you get there. And I, at that point, literally I think we had 24 hours, and we landed on the Friday. We filmed the review. The review took place on I'm looking at my calendar. It was the end of March, wasn't it? So yeah, so I arrived on the 17th. I got to test drive the car on the 18th. On the 19th, I was stuck at the hotel most of the day before we flew back, and I was basically editing video all morning, and I stayed up late on the 18th to make sure the audio was edited. I landed back in Portland on the 19th, and I actually drove the rushes, a couple of these hard drives, I drove them to Michael's house and basically handed them to him late on Sunday evening so we could publish it on Monday or Tuesday. That was the worst. That was the worst. Someone else was asking about stuff here. We had a lot of curtains up when I worked for the company building for GT bodies. No press, but our vendors had no idea what we were building. Yeah. How often are we encountering this? What the don't show stuff? Not that often. Not filming something is disrespecting the wishes of the interviewer. I don't see an issue here. No, I mean, when we are in a place where a company is inviting you, the number of times I've been somewhere where there's a car in the corner and you kind of look at it and you go, oh yeah, I see what you're doing. And you're not allowed to talk about it. And if you do, that's the last time you talk about it.
Yeah.
Companies like the big automakers, the Fords, the GMs, the Toyotas, the Nissans, they will invite you back if you are critical of them. They're not like the other company that doesn't invite you back if you say bad things. They will invite you back if you say bad things again and again and again. And because they trust you and they respect you and they want you to say what you really feel about a product and what you really feel about their vehicles. When you do not get invited back is when you break an embargo or you run with a story without checking with them if it's true or not. So if I ran a story that was completely made up and I did not reach out to the company and say, hey, do you have a take on this? And it was really damaging to the company, then, we would be in trouble. Companies remember that, right?
Mm. I know. So, we'll actually say, I mean, I know they've basically disappeared again now, but a few years ago we talked about candy, and we're not entirely positive for very obvious reasons. And they actually reached out after that and were like, we wanted to offer comment, and I provided the evidence that I had given them ample opportunity to offer comment, and they actually then turned around and offered us other vehicles to review. Unfortunately, they're in Texas, so we never got a chance. But
we're never going to again.
No.
So destroy before reading. Yeah. I mean, that is how it works. All right. So we've already kind of talked about the affiliate links and kickbacks and things like that, but I think it's also important to note that we get a lot of spam. I can probably name about a dozen. They're normally Chinese. I don't want to make generalizations, but they're normally based in Hong Kong or mainland China. They reach out and they go, hey, we've got this cool new project. We want you to review this unit. And very often it's a battery storage product or a micro-mobility thing like a bike or a scooter. Sometimes it's something weird. Or sometimes it's a charging station. We want you to come and review this, and it's going to be really good and awesome. And we want you to do this, and this, and this. I've realized that it's so much hassle to deal with those companies. We were going to do, and I think I don't think I'm breaking anyone's confidence and whatever. We were going to do a review of a unit, or it wasn't a review. They wanted us to do a paid review, and we said no, we don't want to do a paid review. However, if you will sponsor us to make a video in which we use your product, do not review it, but we use your product to do a thing. This is the thing we would want to do with your product. They got very upset because we wouldn't give them editorial control. We wouldn't send them a script. We said, we don't do things like that. How can we write a script about your product if you haven't even sent it to us yet? Those are the horror stories. And I think we've had several over the years, which brings us to something that why we do the sponsorship partnerships that we do. If you've watched this channel for any length of time, you will know that there are a few companies that we work with, right, Kate?
Yeah. I mean, Historically, we've worked with U-Gears. Oh, look at that. We didn't even plan that.
Well, I maybe might have I didn't plan it, but so this is one of the U-Gears trucks that we featured last year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And full disclaimer, U-Gears have worked with us for many years. They sent me a couple of spares and I gave them away for Christmas. I gave one to my father-in-law.
To try building so that we could all have a go at building.
To try and build and all that, right? This is so much fun. This is not a sponsored segment, although someone was asking earlier, are we going to be working with U-Gears again? And the answer is yes. So watch. It's completely wooden. It's just brilliant. I think there's a metal spring in this one. I think I just dropped something on the floor. Oh well. All right. I'm going to pop this back up here. So, U-Gears. The door handle. I managed to knock the door handle off.
Let's put that back on. You also don't glue the U-Gears items together. They just clip together.
They just clip together, which is why I just took the door handle off when I was trying to be fancy. So, yeah, I mean, U-Gears have worked with us. And the deal that we did with U-Gears was, hey, we'll do an affiliate. We'll get so much per thing that you sell. So we get a check from U-Gears based on however much money we make. And it wasn't much. It's like a couple $100, right?
Yeah.
And we promote them. And the important thing is we decided to work with U-Gears because they met our editorial style. They also met our editorial policy. We like to cover cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter vehicles. They do wood. Wood is generally sustainable. There's no harsh plastics or nasty chemicals in that stuff. It's an educational project, which we're all very passionate about because you can teach someone how engines work and things like that without actually having an engine, which is kind of nice. It's a great construction toy. It's not like Lego. Lego is plastic, right? This is wood. So, and the company sent us products to test. And we had, I think, about 2 months to try out the products before we said yes or no. So when a company reaches out to us and says, hey, we want to advertise on your channel, the hierarchy of decision making is thus. Is it a company that we cover? If it's a company that we cover, then sorry, we can't work with you. Is it in the sector that we work in, and is there a possibility that we could work with them? Apparently, YouTube is putting many adverts in our live stream. I'm sorry, that's YouTube, not us. I wonder if I can change that on the stream. Let me see if I can stop this, because I can tell it to turn ads off. So yeah, we have to work. We have to not cover it as a company. So if it's a car company or a bike company, chances are we're not gonna say yes. If it's a charging company, we've traditionally said no. But if it's an associated technology like a solar company, we say okay, which is one reason why we work with Energy Sage, because Energy Sage is adjacent. It's adjacent to our settings. To our settings. I was just in the settings for the video there to turn off automatically place mid rolls. It defaulted to on. I'm sorry, I fixed that. I've forgotten the train of thought that was on now. Kate, help me out.
So you were talking about which companies.
That's right. So it has to be a company that we don't cover. It has to be a company that we believe in, and a company whose product we have tried or know really well.
So your jeans, for example.
Sorry?
Your jeans, for example.
Yeah. So I feel ever so sorry about those guys. So the company that we worked with for the jean placement, custom jeans, we worked with a custom jean company, and they were great. And the experience was great. I was able to get, jeans that were designed off a iPhone scan that fitted me perfectly. They were a little bit expensive, but they had zero waste. They were really, really good. Could you go sign for that, please? It's something that needs to be signed for.
Yes.
Thank you. We just had a very exciting delivery. Shall I bring it upstairs and show everybody? It'll be the secret. Stick around until the end of the video. There's a product that's just arrived that Michael needs to go and sign for that I've paid for out of my own money. Yeah, it was
it is as well.
So the custom jean company were great. You know, you and then I lost weight. Yeah, Jude nailed it. So I spent $200 on these jeans, bought them myself, loved the experience, and then I reached out to the jean company and was like, "Hey, how about we work together?" I was really happy about it. Unspun were great. They said, "Yes, let's work together." So we did a series of adverts for Unspun. And then I lost 60 pounds, 50 pounds. I went from 50 pounds. I went from 270 plus pounds to around where I am at the moment, which is about 220. And I've still got another 70 to go. But I lost so much weight that those jeans no longer fit me. And I feel really bad. I feel really bad about it. Anyway, dogs are very excited. Did you have to sign for it?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
It's dusty.
It is dusty. Do you want to just wipe it? And then, because then I can put it off on camera and rip off my address so I can unbox it on camera. Does Ghost have a bell or a noisy toy? So Sky, Sky, come here. Come here. Good girl. Oh. This is Sky, and she has two things on her collar. She has her name tag, and then she has an insurance tag, and so it jingles, doesn't it? Do you want to get down and be with your brother? Would that be nice? Yeah, she's like, I didn't really want to get up. Oh, there we go. Anyway, so it's Sky you can hear. Ghost doesn't really jingle as much. Anyway, so when we do our placed ads, we have to trust and know the company before we say yes. And if a company's like, hey, will you work with us? And we go, we don't know you. We need to try your thing before we advertise it. And they're weird about it. We go, no. But we tend to reach out to companies that we already use. I'm trying to think. So Unspun was one of them. I tried out Unspun before I signed up and said, hey, let's do an ad. There was another company that we worked with.
Well, we work with the solar installers.
Oh, Energy Sage.
Sage. And you use them.
The banking, our banking partner, Atmos Financial, they did reach out and said, hey, we want to work with you first. But we were like, hey, we're not going to work with you until we've had a chance to test out your thing. So that is the situation. Someone said you can get rubber things that go around the tag to stop it if you want. It's really useful to have dogs that jingle. We live in the country, and at nighttime, dogs tend to go and explore, and we have chickens. So yeah. So when we were working with Atmos Financial, they gave us time to check them out before we said yes. And Atmos, Energy Sage, and also these guys at UGIS, they all pay us on a commission. So based on how much you guys use them, depends on how much money we get in return. And they've all been really, really easy to work with. They're lovely companies. Same with, did we do that one with, no, we did a flat rate with Unspun. But that's where our advertising comes in. So if we put an advert that we personally endorse, and I think this is the important thing, if the on-screen talent, to use the official word, is promoting a product, it means that person has tried and knows that project and that product. And it helps ensure that we don't have weird ads. As I mentioned earlier on, my wife likes to watch woodworking and homesteading videos and, countryside off-grid, all of that. There are a couple of people who make videos, who are content creators, who work in that section, and some of them have started advertising meal kits.
That's weird.
So these are people who are like, we're going to live outside, we're going to have a rural home, we're homesteading. Sometimes we're building our own house. We've got animals, we've got cows, sheep, goats, whatever. And wouldn't you like a meal kit?
They'll deliver it to your off-grid homestead.
And the fun thing is that one of those people, they constantly. Oh, sorry, there's a ghost at my. He's giving me a hug. There's constant. That one of the features of one of those videos, one of those channels, is they very often end, or they used to, with the whole family sitting around the table, saying their grace and holding hands, and then eating their meal that they've just cooked from scratch. And they're now advertising meal kits. It would be like us advertising a Corvette.
Yeah.
Come and drive a V50 Corvette.
He hasn't. I feel like someone reached out to us about. Oh, we did have a gas modification.
Yes, we did.
They wanted to do hot rodding stuff, and they were like, "Hey, look at our really nice radiators," and
if you do radiators for EVs, we can talk. But other than that, no. So, I mean, that is a really important thing here. Please excuse me. So the other thing that obviously is important with our ads is we wait for your feedback, right? So if you reach out and tell us that an ad is terrible, we're going to re-evaluate our ad policies. Please excuse me, Kate. I don't know if you have anything you want to add on ads.
Well, I mean, one of the areas in which we re-evaluated quite early on is that we did, for a brief period of time, advertise a online game, and I can't remember which one it was, but
we got had by the Raid Shadow Legends, and I don't mind admitting it, and it was terrible, and I hate talking about it. It was like 12 years ago now, or maybe not, actually probably 8 years ago now, and I hated it, and I tried it once, and I was like, okay, I'll try it once, and it was obviously just bad. And that's the point, right? You can tell. I do apologize to the whining dog. Ghost has put something down behind the desk, and he's doing it because he wants attention. He knows where it is. He just wants to pretend as well as he's not. But I mean, this is the point, right? Andy is like, hello, not as fresh as the veg in your garden, wrapped in plastic and delivered by diesel truck. Yeah, that's basically the thing. One of the things we wanted to do, and we've talked about this many times on the channel, is we wanted to work with a seed company. And I'm saying this now in case you run a seed co-op or a seed company, you'd be interested in doing this next year. We've wanted to do like a get together and work on a planter box that everybody can buy with some basic seeds in it, and comes with the soil and everything else, just to try and encourage more people to grow their own food. That is something we've wanted to partner with some co-ops on for a long time, and that is really important for us.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of open source seeds, so
Yeah. Talking of open source, are we ready to do the end of the video?
Well, we're going to talk about third-party consulting.
Oh yes, let's talk about third-party consulting.
We really ought to talk about.
And Kate has gone a bit fussy here, so I'm going to get Kate to disconnect and reconnect, because she does this sometimes. Kate's computer for some reason has a bug in it, and it starts crackling after a certain amount of time. Now you mention it, do we need larger cars that use more energy? Video Rebolt would have been a great lead to NFTs or Bitcoin to commemorate it. Oh, you Bennett. Audio issues, Kate. You're back.
Yes, I don't know whether my audio issues are better.
I think they are.
Good.
Nothing back there, Mr. Ghost. I'm going to shut Ghost out. Go on, out. Go see Mum. Go on, go see Mummy.
I don't know why it does that. I mean, it's actually all Apple kit. It's an Apple monitor. It's an Apple Mac.
What?
I don't know why it does that. I don't know.
It does it for a while. Is this the old Apple monitor that we gave you?
Yes.
I think that's a good point, actually, because we're coming here. So what our integrity means to us, I think we've probably just covered that, right? Our integrity is everything. Mm-hmm. If we say a product is good, we want you to know that we believe it's good. We're not just saying buy this product because someone paid us to do it. The side effect of that is, though, that we are making an order of magnitude less than some YouTube channels. I've had YouTubers say to me that they are aiming to bring in $1, $2, $3 million a year. We don't bring in $1 million a year. We don't even bring in $500,000 a year, or even $250,000 a year. So there is a challenge there, in so much as we have to make money from elsewhere. And I'm sorry for the dog now trying to get back in because they're upset that I am not letting them in. So there are YouTubers.
You let them out, and then they're like, no.
Yeah, I'm gonna, while you talk about the third-party consulting, Kate, I'm gonna duck off and fix the dog problem.
You can try and do that. Yeah, so I've gone away now, apparently. Nikki is. So yes, one of the ways that we do make some other money is that we offer third-party consulting. We do that for individuals, businesses, for community organizations. To answer Chris Bailey, I don't know whether I can. I do not have the power to put your comment on screen, Chris. I haven't been given that power. But yes, that is something that we would be able to do. We do offer consulting for community groups. Best way to do this is to go and look at our website, which is www.transportevolved.com, and then look at the services section. So there is consulting. Oh, has my voice gone strange again? I think my voice has gone strange again.
Yeah.
All right.
Going to talk to us from the AI computer generated future. Can you still hear Kate okay? Well, I can hear you. So I don't know what. So this was what the problem was. Okay. This was thrown in a box of scooter parts that was underneath my mixing desk. Voice is still good, apparently. This is not for playing. Somebody was like, you need to get rid of your dogs. Your dogs are making all the carbon. I'm like, yeah, okay. Owning a dog does cause some carbon-related footprints, but I think we're doing quite a lot to mitigate our carbon footprint. Anyway, I've seen several libraries with seed catalogs as well. Yeah, seed catalogs are awesome. So yeah, we they both seem to think it's for playing. So we do consulting, and how it works is you pay for a triple consulting session, right, Kate?
Yes, you pay for 3 hours of consulting time, or session time. We actually do a lot of work behind the scenes to make that all work. The first session is a chat about your needs and what you look for in a vehicle, and a kind of in-depth discussion of that, and then we'll get back to you with some recommendations. There'll probably be some recommendations while we're talking because we can't stop ourselves. And then you'll get a written report which tells you what we think might be good vehicles for you to try out. And then we'll have a second session where we talk through those. And then there's a third session available afterwards for any outstanding questions. How did it go? We can help you with finding vehicles in your area, put you in contact with dealers if you want, those sorts of things. And I will say that we have surprised people with suggestions that they haven't considered, and they've then gone out and bought that vehicle.
Yeah, we have someone who was like, I'm going to buy a Tesla. I'm going to buy a Tesla. I'm going to buy a Tesla. I want to buy a Tesla. I think I want to buy a Tesla. This is a Tesla. I think it's going to be a good Tesla. And then we were like, are you sure?
Well, and to be fair,
and I'm not going to say what car they went for, but they ended up coming back and were like, I bought this car instead.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, we said, the Tesla does indeed fit your needs in the way that you would like it to, but also these cars might, and you could go test drive them and see if you like them better.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that we are, we try to do. And there's been we've had a couple of people come to us who have wanted to go a particular route and then they've gone to a different vehicle. We've had some people are like, hey, I think this is the car I want. I just want to make sure I'm not making a bad decision. I think we've had one Tesla owner come and talk to us about their next car and what they want to get. And we talked about the options, whether they stay with Tesla or whether they go to a different maker. And it's all really driven by you, not by
Yeah.
us. And we also do another way we earn money is we go and talk to companies. We do lunch and learns where we talk about what is an EV, what are your different things that you can get in terms of incentives and stuff.
Yeah, that's often for companies that are considering installing charging or that have built some kind of supportive purchase process. So a grant for people to buy a vehicle or some kind of payback system so they get a bit of a discount on buying a car. And we will go in and do an introduction to EV ownership so that people who just are not familiar with EVs get a chance to have those questions answered by people who drive a lot.
Yeah. And so if you're interested in either of those, the best way to do that is to go to transportevolved.com and follow the link there to go to our
Up on the
sponsorship.
services tab.
Our
The
service.
Yeah.
Sorry, there is a small dog who's trying very hard to try and play with the other dog who's trying to sleep. So there's a play with me, no, I'm trying to sleep conversation going on down there. I know some people don't like dogs, and I apologize if you are in that situation. I know some people view it as unprofessional when we have dogs in the studio. They are generally pretty well behaved and look after us and keep us sane. And when we've been dealing with some of the stuff that we have been dealing with of late on this channel, it really does make a difference. I'd like to say that the hate has not returned, but it has. It's dramatically being pushed out by all of the amazing people who've been commenting. So if you keep commenting on the videos and you engage, that is very, very important. And it's very, very cool that you guys are doing that because it helps drown out the bigots and the haters. And there's one person in particular who desperately wants our attention, who thinks that calling us transport evolved is funny. And it's just really puerile.
I'm like, well, random coincidence. That wasn't why we came up with. Well, why
yeah,
we came
right.
up with
Exactly.
it.
Anyway,
but
so
yeah,
that is one way you can support us. The other way you can support us is to go to Patreon and make a Patreon donation from $1 a month. It really does make a difference. Lots of people have been saying, is it better to go through Patreon or YouTube? Honestly, it's better to go through Patreon. Patreon gives us more control over what we do. And the other thing I should point out here, and disclaimer, we have I am a Patreon, what do they call me? A Patreon ambassador. So I am a part of a growing group of Patreon creators who are Patreon ambassadors. We are there to represent Patreon as well as use Patreon to make money. And without you guys on Patreon, we wouldn't be able to pay everybody. That's how bad the YouTube ad revenue has got. And then if anything was to happen to Patreon, we'd be up the creek without a paddle, which is why we're diversifying. We're doing all of these other things as well. But yeah, disclaimer, I am a member of the Patreon ambassador. So I do get access to Patreon stuff before everybody else and Patreon features and things. But I also have a direct line to the team responsible for Patreon, which means if there is a problem with Patreon, I can reach out and go, you need to go and talk to this person, or find out who it is that you need to talk to. And some of you have had to reach out and said, hey, there's an issue with Patreon and I've put you in the right direction, as opposed to YouTube, who don't give a flying rat's ass.
I'm also going to say that Patreon viewers get videos earlier if we can.
Yes, and if you are a YouTube channel member, you get it a day early. You should have got a video yesterday for today, but we decided to do this live stream instead.
And
Tomorrow's video that you're going to see.
Oh, hang on. And also, with the YouTube comments being what they are, we don't always read them so thoroughly, but I tend to actually read the Patreon comments pretty thoroughly.
Yeah, no, I read the Patreon comments, and also Discord is a good place. And we have a Discord moderation team. People have been asking, hey, why don't you let YouTube people moderate YouTube? I will give you an example. The reason we don't. Winter, one of his tasks when he worked with us was moderating YouTube comments. And Winter has worked in the queer community for many years. Winter has worked in activism for many years, but I know that even Winter found it terrifyingly hard to deal with some of the threats and general dickish behavior from our YouTube comment section. I think that's not, I don't think he'd mind me saying that. But there we go. My name is still not in the ending credits, not complaining, however. It depends when you joined. If you joined more than 2 or 3 weeks ago, reach out. We made a new end credit today. We have to download the list and then manually put it in, and sometimes I miss a name. So I do apologize if that's the case.
And just also, some of the videos that come out have been made earlier and then sat for a bit.
Yeah.
So typically the red names, I will, like, I'll read them and they'll be correct for the day when I was reading them. I will almost invariably update the scrolling credit if I get time before it goes live.
Yeah.
But I can't always, well, I can't re-record the spoken words. So
yeah.
you may find that you pop in and out of those if it's a video like we have an upcoming video on mining, which has a big animated section that Erin is working.
Poor Erin has been, yeah.
She's been working so hard on that. And so that's actually been ready apart from the animation for a while. So
yeah. And Ko-fi is another way of doing it as well. And for those who like crypto, you can send us crypto. We do have a Bitcoin wallet. I want to kind of be completely open and honest here and say that our Bitcoin wallet sits on a computer that has to be on anyway. So we are personally not burning extra fuel just to have the Bitcoin server. However, cryptocurrency does use a lot of emissions, as does any online banking today. So it's weird. Apparently Kate's audio is going weird again. So let's ask Kate to rejoin. And when Kate rejoins, we will do, I think, unless she tells me otherwise, I'm not allowed more than one Ko-fi in a day. Yeah, you're totally right. Oh, we didn't talk about the drives.
Oh, now I'm blurred.
But you look fabulous, by the way.
Well, that's fine. We'll leave that. It doesn't seem to be offering me that option. It's just decided to do it. Okay.
Let me see if I can unblur you. I can't. I can kick you or ban you from the studio, but I cannot unblur you.
It's fine. We'll live. Except it's losing the top of my hair. I'm very upset about that.
So for those who've been watching the channel, and thank you for joining us. I know it's a 90-minute live stream and it's been quite long, and I'm sure someone will complain about how terrible it was. There are some, that's for tomorrow's video. This is for tomorrow's video, and I'm sure I can show this to you all really quickly. Nobody's going to guess what this is. This is for tomorrow's video. I'll give you a flip so you can see. Whoop, whoop. But we need to talk about these. So someone on the team came up with an idea of sponsoring a hard drive. We currently have many, many hard drives in our server. Right now, I think Transport Evolved's Kennedy. Let's find out. I'm going to SSH into Kennedy because I'm like that. People status. Let's see how many hard drives we've got. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So we have 35. We have actually 36 drives in a 45 drive server. So we've got 9 slots left, which means we can expand it once more before we have to we have to buy a new server. But everything on there includes all of the footage that we've ever made. And we've talked about this so many freaking times, but we are coming up with we are coming up on the point where we're going to need to buy some new drives. Michael's been complaining about the server getting slower and slower and slower because each of these little hard drives here, this is disk 3. This is disk 3 of 4. It is a 1 terabyte drive. We can fill up one of these in a couple of hours when we're filming a review. So we make a lot of equipment. And Kate's back.
Kate found. I don't know why the setting had changed, but it did.
And then it changed back again.
But since we're talking about drives, this is my dead brick.
Yeah, so Kate lives far enough away that backing up stuff to her physically, like driving down the road and picking it up, is it's a 4 or 5 hour round trip for us. What we are proposing to do is we're proposing to put I apologize, give me 1 second. I just had loads and loads of PVCs all at the same time. Yay. My heart is not happy. Let's leave it at that. So I'm going to have another drink. I'm going to get a tape drive for the company so we can back up all of the data that we use. And then we can send those tapes either to Kate's or someone else's house as an offsite backup, or we can store them in a bank in a safe vault somewhere. And that means that we're going to have to spend between $5,000 and $6,000 just to get the tape drive. And then we have to actually buy the tapes to put in the tape drive. Now, the reason we have petabytes, nearly, I think we're at like 800 and some terabytes right now. We're heading towards the petabyte level of storage. The reason we keep all of that is so that we can refer back to original footage, which we do on a regular basis. A couple of weeks ago, we had a video where we had to find some footage of a Kona EV, the original Kona EV. No, the original Ioniq EV, the hatchback version, not the Ioniq 5.
The wind knife.
Yes. And it was no longer on its relevant press page. You went to Hyundai's website and looked for it, and it wasn't there.
Yeah,
It's all footage that we downloaded, original quality B-roll, and it's still on our server, and we can access it when we need to. Same for things like the Volkswagen e-Golf, which we used recently. We've had to use original smart car footage. Nissan Leaf launch event stuff. It's no longer on their servers, but we've got it.
We still have the Coda sedan.
Do we still have the Coda sedan?
Well, I have the Coda sedan B-roll.
I know I have all of the original Tesla stuff, like the Tesla Model S factory tour that they gave us when we went around the factory in 2012. So that's 10 years ago. All of that stuff is no longer online officially. And so keeping it local allows us to make our videos more engaging and more relevant. And we have all of our B-roll. And so we are now, I think we have about 19% of our hard drive remaining capacity, and we use ZFS or ZFS, and you're not supposed to go below 20%. We are very close to just hitting that right now. Now we are looking to buy some new hard drives. Oh, we're at 15% fragmentation now as well. That's bad. We need to buy some more hard drives so we can store the footage, but we have no backup. And it's very dangerous for a business like us to have no backup because we don't have enough hard drives in our backup server. Now, if we were to do a proper backup and we were to send, let's just look at this, and we were to do like, to buy 20 terabyte hard drives, and we were to do the same, to have the same level of backup that we currently have, we would need 700 terabytes of storage. So, and each of the drives we're looking at the moment are about $350 each. And we need 35 of them for the secondary server, which is $12,000 just there. And then we need to expand our existing server, which is another 3. So we're looking at $15,000 of backup, basically, just for here at the studio. And then Kate needs a backup solution too, because her backup drive system has failed. So what we are thinking about for Kate, because Kate doesn't use quite as heavily the data that we use here at the studio, what we're thinking about doing for Kate is building her a server with a PC hard drive, a PC motherboard in it, and then we put like 8 or 12 drives in it, and we run it on ZFS, and we put it probably on Debian. That's your favorite flavor, isn't it, Kate, at the moment? Or Ubuntu?
I haven't used Debian for a while, but
Debian or Ubuntu.
I used to use Ubuntu a lot. But
we are running on Ubuntu here. I think I can safely say that without anybody trying to attack us. How does that compare to putting it on AWS? Well, if you watch Linus from Linus Tech Tips, he tried that once with Google, and they just gave up. AWS is very expensive, not to store it, but if you need to retrieve it, it's very expensive. Also, the downtime to retrieve it is horrible.
Well, and the time to get it up there through your extremely small pipe.
Yes,
very
we
long.
have a 30 megabit per second is our maximum upload speed. And if we used that, we wouldn't be able to use download. My wife works from home. And so it's very, very, very. So we are thinking about doing a sponsor a drive. We need to price it up, but I'd love to know what you think about this. Let us know in the comments or in the chat room now. This is an old 2 terabyte Apple hard drive from one of our X-serves that is being used for other things right now. Spinning iron does break, but ZFS has a redundancy, which is very good. We need to upgrade our hard drives. So I'm thinking about doing a Kickstarter or something similar. Kate and the rest of the team and I have talked about it. We have, we would love to know what you think. And Kate, you have a laser writer, a laser engraver.
Yeah, so we can do sponsored hard drives. You can sponsor a bit of spinning rust, and we will come up with a little tag to go on it to say whose drive it is, and you can live in our server. And I think kind of the prices are probably going to start at about $350 if you want to do an entire drive, which would be about 20 terabytes. Although I think the 22 terabyte drives are now coming out as well. And then you will be part of the Transport Evolved server. You'll be part of Kennedy. So if you are a space nerd, should we tell them about it? I mean, we've already talked about this multiple times before, but we have servers. We have space servers. So our main server is called Kennedy, from Kennedy Space Center. And because we are kids of the 80s or late 70s, early 80s, we can do, we can has space shuttles. So we have different servers on different shares on the server are called different things. So what do we have? There's one we don't. We have Atlantis, Challenger, Columbia, Enterprise. We don't have the others. We don't have Discovery. I'm sorry. Maybe we'll get Discovery if we get another. We can expand our hard drives. We can do that. And then on the other server, Kate, do you remember what the other server is called? I can't remember. I know what my stuff is all from the Soviet space program.
So we have Baikonur.
We have Baikonur. We also have traveling disc. So this is Voskhod.
Yes.
And my machine is Valentina, after Valentina Tereshkova.
My computer is Leica, after the first dog to come back from space. And I can't remember what Michael's computer is, but we're now on to Japanese space probes. So Michael's, what it's called? Hang on, I'll look on the network because I can actually see his computer. Akatsuki. We also have Dezik, which was a Russian dog. And then we have Hayabusa and Icarus, who are both space probes. We also have we have the twins. Where are they? We have Chandrayaan and Chakrayan, which are Indian space probes. So yeah, we have lots of
A lot of space.
we have a lot of space, but it all gets used up. I should point out things like Chakrayan and Chandrayaan are based on transportation, getting stuff from one point to another. We also have, these ones are not named anything. I don't know why. We just call these Sandisk 1 to 4 because I think it's because we decided that having those floating around when we were shooting on location might cause embarrassment. But we also have Voyager. Michael has got Voyager connected to him right now. So, you know, we have those. But we are looking to get tape backup. So we're going to be doing a video soon about sponsoring. And I would love to know, would you like us to offer whole drive sponsorship, half drive sponsorship, quarter drive per terabyte? How do people want us to do it? We need to figure out how we're going to do it and how it sets up. And then we'll go from there. And finally, Kate, 1 hour and 40 minutes into our live stream.
The secret.
The secret. Does anybody want to guess? What
is in the dusty box?
Yeah. Well, now you know I live in the country, right? This is the UPS guy. Whenever he gets to the house, his truck is always just covered in dust because there's lots of dirt trails around. We ready? Oop. Ta-da! So there's a video coming. I'm glad that fell out because it had my address on it. There's a video coming about this, but this is A,3. We are going to have, we've got our little USB-C.
We are very definitely not sponsored by Comma.
We're not sponsored by Comma. I paid for this. And then we have the Comma 3. This
now,
is
which version did you get then?
I got the basic version.
Okay, same as me.
I'm a cheap ass, and I bought this out of my own money. And it's going to go in my wife's Chevrolet Bolt. And we've got we finally got it. So we were waiting on a guy called Jason who makes harnesses, and for reasons I'm not going to go into, Jason has not been making harnesses for more than a year now, and so I managed to find someone else online who sold me all of the necessary hardware equipment, but I'm missing the Comma power thing. I think I might have to order that.
Did you buy a Panda?
I've got the pedal, I've got the controller, but there seems to be the thing that you plug into the OBD2 port is not there.
Oh,
the power
that
thing
should be in there. It's probably in the box somewhere.
It's not. I think
it's underneath something
from them. I didn't buy the harness from them directly.
Or did it come with that? It might come with the harness kit. I can't remember. It's been a while.
So nope. I don't get anything in there other than, so I'm going to reach out to Comma and go, hey, we're missing a thing. Could you help me? But it should be able to work based on the power output from whatever. So yeah, this is the Comma 3. So I'm very excited. It's going to be very cool to get that running. That's going to be one of the things that we're going to try and do probably tomorrow and get that doing. It's not a telematics. This, nobody guessed. This is an inductive charging module. It is an inductive charging module for a Chevrolet Bolt EV that will allow us to upgrade the charging module on the Bolt so that you can use it with modern smartphones. It's got the right Qi compatibility. That's going to go in the Bolt at some point. We're making a video about upgrading these cars and making them more awesome. So that's something we're going to do. And then other than that, we are good. Anything else you want to say before we sign off, Kate?
I think I'm good. Oh, if anyone's wondering what the big pile of stuff is behind me, it's my new desk. We are not also sponsored by the makers of the monitor arm. It's just sat behind me.
Yep. Exactly. So I'm going to put this together. This is on my list of things to do. I've got to get it working, and I think what you're supposed to do is you turn it on and get it running in-house, and then you can go and plug it into the various components on your car, and hopefully everything works from there. I do have the little box that goes from the USB-C to Ethernet. That's coming. It's the one thing that's missing right now. So that's the one thing I can't do. But I need to get a little power cable. That is something that has not arrived. So I will
just be aware that unless it's changed, the keyboard doesn't have an apostrophe in. So if you have an apostrophe in your password, it won't work. That took me a long time to work out, and now mine has a special password for its own special Wi-Fi network.
There you go. There we are. Anyway, thanks everybody. As always, it's been fun to talk to you. I hope you've enjoyed this extra long video where we've talked about why we do the things we do. Kate is going to go back, or I'm going to go back, and we're going to put the timestamps in so you can skip into the relevant sections. As always, be lovely to each other, be excellent to each other. If you want to support us, we're not going to say no. Patreon, YouTube, Bitcoin, Ko-fi, Swag Store, great way of doing it. And now you know why we don't shill everything that just comes our way. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield.
I'm Kate Walton-Elliott.
Until next time, keep evolving.